We begin with the latest from Saudi Arabia. The capital, Riyadh, is currently the hotspot of a consequential geopolitical springboard, where the US President Donald Trump-led initiative is pressing to end the war in Ukraine by talks with Moscow without Kiev. Now, in the latest, the US negotiators, led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, met the Russian delegation led by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The talks in Riyadh began without visible handshakes, as the stern-faced officials from Washington, D.C. and Moscow sat across the table. The delegation-level talks are reportedly a precursor to the bigger dialogue, which will be between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two presidents are expected to sit across the table with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as the exclusive host. Now, earlier, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the host of these negotiations, said that Riyadh is more than glad to work with the Trump administration in its efforts to end the Ukraine war.
Very good to have you today, and as you believe, we have a lot of things to talk about, bilateral and also in the region and other areas. So we'd be more than glad to work with you and with President Trump and the administration. I believe we can do positive things for Saudi Arabia and America, and also for many countries around the world.
Missing from the table in Riyadh are America's European allies and Ukraine, who are monitoring these talks from afar. Donald Trump's push for a deal with Putin has left Ukraine and Europe scrambling. Meanwhile, as the top diplomats began talks, the Kremlin released a statement saying that its leader, Vladimir Putin, was ready to talk to Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky if necessary. The Kremlin, however, repeated its questioning of Zelensky's legitimacy as the Ukrainian president. Russia also said that Kiev has a right to join the European Union, but not the US-led military alliance NATO. But before these talks kicked off, Volodymyr Zelensky had said that Kiev will not recognize deals from the ongoing US-Russia talks. Zelensky is currently stationed in Turkey, the country that tried to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine in 2022, but failed. The Ukrainian leader is scheduled to be in Saudi Arabia tomorrow, despite his official exclusion from the current stage of peace negotiations.
Ukraine will not take part in the US-Russia talks. Ukraine did not know anything about them. Ukraine regards any negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine as ones that have no result. We cannot recognize any agreements about us made without us, and we will not recognize such agreements.
As the world watches Riyadh with sharp focus, the spotlight is on Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the host of these peace negotiations. Why did the US President Donald Trump and Russia's Putin choose Saudi Arabia and not any other country in Europe or elsewhere for these peace talks? The topmost reason is Saudi Arabia's strong and influential ties with both the United States and Russia. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is reportedly trusted by both Trump and Putin. At the same time, the US, under Donald Trump, needs a positive diplomatic momentum with Saudi Arabia to achieve its objective to normalize Saudi's diplomatic ties with Israel. Now, Riyadh's potential role in the event of a successful deal to end the Ukraine war may add to that objective. In 2022, Saudi Arabia successfully brokered deals for multiple prisoner exchanges between Russia and Ukraine. Riyadh has worked with Moscow in their OPEC Plus grouping of crude oil producers, despite Western pressure. Now, this has earned Saudi Arabia due diplomatic geopolitical goodwill in Moscow. At the same time, Riyadh's status as the leader amongst oil producers, which can turn the knob of oil prices in either direction, gives it a nearly equal geo-economic advantage with both Moscow and Washington, D.C. As top diplomats and world leaders shuttle to the Saudi capital, the world is awaiting an answer to the biggest and the most crucial question. Will the Saudi talks end the Russia-Ukraine war after almost 3 years of devastation.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Pretty measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote efforts. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.